It's a couple minutes after 5. We'll call the meeting to order. It's the June 14, 2021, 5 p.m. Meeting of the McCracken County Fiscal Court. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bartleman.
Here.
Commissioner Parker.
Here.
Commissioner Jones.
I'm here.
And Judge Connor.
Here. And Commissioner Bartleman, do you offer a prayer, please?
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for the blessings of this day. We thank you for the opportunity we have to gather together in person here, Father. We just pray that you be with us as we make decisions to benefit this county and give us the guidance and direction that we need. We just pray for all our law enforcement officers that are out there, keeping us safe, Father, for all the things that have been going on in the city and the county. We just pray that those things will be taken care of, and again, you keep our officers safe. We also pray for other first responders who respond to ambulance, fire, and other cases. Father, just be with them and give them safe journey as they perform those duties. Father, we're just so thankful for what you do for us. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And stand and join me in the pledge.
Which one?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So being Flag Day, I thought maybe we'd have a few more flags today. We can work, see around them and all. What you got them at? What's that store? Everything's $1 or something like that. I don't remember how much they cost. So I thought we need to observe our flag on Flag Day. First thing on the agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So made.
Second.
Any discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Aye.
That carries. All right, budget transfers.
It is ordered that the necessary cash transfers in the amount of $805,000 be made in order to pay county bills and payroll approved June 14, 2021.
So made. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Accounts payable.
It is ordered to approve the voucher claims register from May 24, 2021 to June 14, 2021 to show county bills in the amount of $1,069,184.48 were paid.
So made. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. And several items under discussion is John Hodges. He's not coming tonight.
Expected him.
Okay. He may come in here in a little bit. We can come back around to him. Also put on for discussion, since it's been in the news some about the 911 operations, need to address some changes, some additions, some improvements there, and also really it's become combined in some ways with the sports complex that we're proposing to get built. And I just want to put it on. I talked with the mayor this morning, and I talked with him last week at least once, if not a couple of times, trying to see if we could come to some understanding, at least in general terms. These two projects, the sports complex and 911, are really essentially unrelated, with the exception that both the city and the county are interested in them, and of course each costs money. The city has acknowledged the value of the sports complex to the city, county, and the region, and is considering, I think, to be 50-50 partners with the county on the design, development, operation, all aspects of the sports park. One thing that's caused some discussion is the city's request that the Stuart Nelson Road needed upgrades be added to the project. We've estimated that at about $2 million to do that. The county has had some concerns about adding that to the project, since it'll be a 5% or thereabouts addition to the cost of the project, and the fact that it's a city street and it's not been included in the project. Also, of course, there's being a city street, it has benefits to the businesses and current and future that are along that route, that road, that are of no benefit to the county. But that aside, we're making efforts to see if we can get the state highway, state transportation cabinet to provide the funding for that $2 million thereabouts road. We've not asked for the state for anything related to this, and it being the economic development project that it is, I think there's a good chance that the state will come forward and take care of that for us. We'll just have to see. I try not to get too windy about this, but I just want to kind of get the foundation laid. So most recently, and just a few days ago, I really believed, either rightly or wrongly, that the city was right on the verge of agreeing to be partners 50-50 on the sports complex. As of very recently, in the last few days, it's taken a bit of a turn. The city seems to be suggesting that they need the county to be full partners, committed to being full partners on the 911 before they can be committed to being partners on the sports complex. The county's been interested in and hopeful that a partnership on 911 can be developed. I think we've been working forward in a spirit of cooperation and mutual benefit on that. The requirement of a commitment to 911, however, is going to be difficult because of the complexities, the unknowns about the how the 911 would develop, the unknown variables, how it operate, how it might be funded. And so without that knowledge at this time, I think the city and county can't really do more than just make a somewhat educated guess about what might develop. And I don't see that we would be able to make a commitment to say, whatever is decided on, we're 50-50 partners. It's just too speculative, I think, on where there's too many options of how it could be run, who might be our partners besides the city and the county. Are we going to partner with the state? There's other options there. What I think we can do, however, and after talking with George, the mayor, this morning, I think that we can go a long way by just committing to a spirit of mutual benefit and cooperation in this decision making, to go forward with our research on 911 operations, equipment, and who the partners might be, how we might fund it. So without such a commitment to cooperation, the sports complex apparently is going to sit still. Our kids continue to play soccer on the landfill. The creation of a really, I think, an outstanding economic development engine just sits idle out there over an unrelated dispute as to 911. And so what I would like to at least us discuss and propose that we could come to some agreement that we can express to the city our genuine desire to explore a partnership with the city on 911 with a goal toward agreement and mutual benefit, work through our differences, make decisions together for the welfare of our city and county residents, knowing, of course, that the city residents are within the county. And so we're responsible to the city residents as well. It's my hope that by showing a sincere intent to cooperate with the city on this, it will ease their concerns about being partners with us on the sports complex that, again, I think is unrelated. And so I think we have an opportunity to accomplish a great deal for our community, and with that spirit of cooperation, and not get bogged down in what the details are. I'll also add that I've learned just today that some of the city's concerns was related to the county not yet paying our share of the RDAP, the TVA in lieu of tax money, into the IDA. And as I think we know, I think we all know that we don't sit on that money. We can't just write that check. What we have to do, and what I explained to the mayor, was that Department of Local Government, the state, is the depository of that money, and we have to go to them with a project, and we have done that just recently. Went to Department of Local Government, said, here's our project. We want to pay that, I think it was up to $164,000 to some triple rail property in 401 Kentucky Avenue for debt service on that. And so that's the process we have to go through. I think some of the city folks did not understand that and wondered why we had not followed through with our commitment to put our RDAP money up to whatever, 150,000, 155, or somewhere in that, and that they would match with their funds what we put in. And so I think I wrote him earlier today. He's busy, everybody's busy. Hopefully he'll see that and understand that that was a not a concern after all, that we've done all we can do to fulfill our promise to put our RDAP, our TVA money into the IDA, just as they will match our funding out of their funds. And so hopefully that'll go a long way, and maybe that's the biggest burr in the saddle, if you want to call it that, about joining with us on the complex. So that was the short version. So what do you think? You might have any comment?
Comment on that. To start with the 911, that's one of the first things we discussed when I became a commissioner a little over 6 years ago. That was a high priority for the city and the county, was the 911 situation. We discussed a couple options, and some seemed feasible at the time, but probably weren't feasible in reality, and we didn't make much progress. We had some joint meetings. We had some 911 experts come meet with us jointly, including the director of a 911 operation in Northern Kentucky that was a multi-county organization, and they provided some good information. Then the city, at one point, I don't know whether it was out of frustration that we couldn't come to an agreement, decided that they were going to disband the existing operation of 911, which was operated by a board, and the city took it over totally, and then we became a contract partner with the city. And that's worked well for the last 3 or 4 years. I talked to the sheriff a few minutes ago. He's well pleased with the 911 operation. I called one of the county fire chiefs, and they're pleased with the way it's been run. I think the first thing we need to decide, that needs to be decided, is how it's going to be operated, and I think you alluded to that. Is it going to be operated solely by the city where we pay them a fee, or are we going to create a a board to run it separately. I think we need to make a decision on that. I think there's a lot of debate on that. I think right now it's well run. The chief of police does an excellent job of running the operation, but 4 or 5 years down the line, there could be, you never know what's going to happen politically, and it could result in maybe there's difficulties between the city and the county, and that may not be the best way to operate it in the long run. Again, it's working well right now, and everybody gets along well, but if there's some things that happen in the future, it may not be the best way to do that. So I'd like us to pursue, and I'm open to any discussion of how we want to do that in the future. We won't decide that tonight, but whether we operate it by a well-organized 911 board that's separate from the city and county. I think there were some difficulties in the past when they had a board that operated it, because I think some of what I was told is some of the members saw themselves as advocates and not board members. They're advocates for the department they represented, maybe not board members to make the best decisions for 911 overall. So I think we need to do that. I think we also need to whatever we set up, it needs to be set up in a way that it could be in the future a regional 911 center that doesn't just cover Paducah and McCracken County, but maybe some other counties. I think we need to at least have that option open. I think that's the best way to do that. That's hard to pull off because a lot of communities don't want to give up their operation of their own 911, but the cost of buying the equipment is probably about the same, whether it's one city and county or whether it's 5 city and counties. The basic equipment you need for a 911 center is pretty much the same. I think I had a conversation with the director of the state 911 board, and he indicated that they're in the process right now of doing a cost study, a statewide study of the cost of 911. And they hope to have that completed in the fall, and they want to meet with the legislators and try to use the data that's gathered there to convince them to increase the fee that's charged on cell phones. Right now it's 90 cents or 75 cents a month, something like that. It's a very small fee, and the local government does not have the option of adopting a fee to help pay it. So the state board is in the process of putting together that report, and they want to use that as ammunition to ask the legislature to increase the fee to cover a higher percentage, if not all, of the cost of operating 911 centers statewide. The state has several incentive funds, and one of the funds that's available is to joint operations. There are multi-county operations. There's a operation in eastern Kentucky. It's the only one that qualifies for this state funding, and they've been able to eliminate all their local funding because they formed a joint operation. That was the PSAPs, I think, had to merge, and they merged, and they have first priority of these grant programs. So those multi-county operations that have merged what they call the PSAPs, have the first priority for the funds, and this one county, it's a 2-county operation, I think, and they get all the funds that they want. There's also several grant opportunities that exist. I don't think we'd be able to find enough grant money to pay for the full infrastructure for a 911 center, but there's at least small amounts in different pockets of information. The state director told me there's one grant fund that you get up to $200,000 to help pay the cost of the consoles that are in the 911 centers. So if you have 2 or 3 or 4 consoles, you can get a pretty good sum of money to help pay for those. Again, you're not going to get the total amount you need, but you'll get some of the money. I think 911 is becoming an issue not only in Kentucky and West Kentucky, it's an issue nationwide, and hopefully at some point the federal government will put some of the infrastructure funds in to help fund some of those operations. Then once we decide how we're going to organize it, I think Commissioner Jones has suggested, and we might be able to put this off. The director of the state 911 is willing to come down here and hold a meeting with the city and the county, but hopefully we can make it a regional meeting and maybe invite all the purchase area counties in, where he can talk about 911 and the benefits of having a regional center rather than just 1 or 2 counties doing it on their own. So hopefully we can do that. And once we decide the organization, we've got to decide the funding mechanism for it. I know there's a lot of talk about creating a new fee on some utility or in some way to fund it. I think we need to take a close look at that. We need to at least give the state an opportunity to increase the funding, which hopefully will cover a high percentage of the cost. I looked at the city's budget. The city spends $2 million a year on their 911 operation. The county pays $650,000 to cover its share of the cost. The landline fees that are collected bring in about $400,000 a year, which go toward 911. Approximately $150,000 of that is what's collected from city residents. I don't know if that's a conservative number or whether that's an accurate number. I didn't see how much was actually taken in, but that's what was in the city budget. And then the fee from the state cell phone fee brings in $325,000. So there's about $710,000 they get from those fees. So between the city and the county, it's paying about $1.3 million of the $2 million cost of operation. I also, with the help of Mr. Doolittle, got a copy of the number of dispatches that take place in the city and the county. About 67% of the dispatching is done for the city fire department, city police department. The other 37% is done for county organizations, the fire departments, the sheriff's office. So about 2/3 of the operation of the 911 center is for city organizations. So we probably don't want to get into any fee structures of how to pay for it, but I think we need to take a close look at the funding before we make any decisions on whether or not we have another fee. So I think 911 was an important issue 6 years ago that we tried to resolve. It's an important issue today, and I hope maybe there's a new level of discussion that we can kind of get that taken care of that's satisfying all of us.
Well, let me just say, I put it on the sports complex and the 911, not to get so much down into, what you're saying is all the variables, and well, not all of them, there's even more, and unknowns and what needs to be done, and the legislature is looking at things, and we know how what pace sometimes the legislature operates, and so we may not know the answer for a year, 2 years down the road, maybe never, but more geared toward, just like I asked the mayor today, and then just tell me, what do you think the city needs to hear from the county that would ease the concerns about the city joining up with us on this sports complex that we want to build in the city? Tell me, not that we'll say them, but tell me what you think would help. He and I have a very good relationship. We talk very frankly, very candidly to each other, that's why I wanted to bring this on, just for the discussion of, do we think as a body we can commit to looking at this in a joint effort to answer all these questions, choose these options. My primary goal is to get this sports complex that I guess it's very discouraging to be sitting idle and not going forward with this thing and starting to actually get something physical done. We're coming up on fall and winter. You can't push mud, and so we've got a lot of dirt work, a lot of things to do, but decisions to be made first. So is there something, and maybe you gentlemen don't think we're prepared to say, hey, we'll use our best efforts to work with you. We've got to have a common desire to do what's best for our people, our residents, our citizens, who are the same in the city and in the county, and we have to respect and believe that the city wants the same thing. Of course, they're responsible only to the city people. We are responsible, they as city people pay county taxes too. So can we commit to working together with the 5 members of the city commission to agree that they will have confidence that we're going to do what's best for the community, and that we know we're going to have differences, we know we're going to have obstacles, that we'll work through those to the best of our ability. If that's too generic, if that's too many unknowns, we can't do it, then we can unplug that complex and wait till 6 months, a year, whatever it is, until we can figure out how we're going to do 911. Of course, we also have the option of doing a little bit out there, just making it a park, someplace to go kick around in, and lose really the economic development part of that. I think just a tremendous. I get frustrated. I guess that you guys know I'm not real patient. I like to get things done. I like to pull the trigger and let's go. And to see that set out there, and the sports and Sports Tourism Commission, I don't want them to get frustrated. They're doing a hell of a job for us, and they don't get paid for it. At least we get paid, and so they're going forward, and they're doing it for the community for no pay, doing a great job, and so I just want to move forward this thing. I don't do good sitting still.
Don't you think the first priority of our job is the safety aspect to the county residents and the city residents? So it sounds to me like that. We're going to be in some type of partnership with the city on this. So I have no problem with pledging my support to sit down and get it worked out and worked out in the right way. I mean, I know, we've got a lot of questions and all those have to be answered, but at some point we're going to be in a partnership. So, I have no problem pledging support to it.
Well, and the mayor and I discussed the history of the city and county somewhat. You've been around in county government the longest of us, but I do recall there being some, back and forth city-county issues. Somebody in the organization has filled me in on some past disputes and how we didn't play well together. In fact, played poorly together. We've gotten past that. I think we did that pretty well with the previous city administration, but I think we're building even stronger now. And so I'm just thinking, if you guys tell me you're not good with saying, I think, can we say to the city, look, we need you to come on board in this sports complex. It's just a shame to let it sit idle while we wait for what may very well be 6 months, 2 years on figuring out this 911. And do we wait for that period of time, see what our options are, or can we come together as a group and say, we all want what's best for our community. Can't we decide that as we go along? Let's get the sports complex. I got a feeling that sports complex is going and pumping money before we ever get 911 resolved, if we got back on track right now. If we don't get back on track right now, we go out there and bush off the damn thing every so often until we decide what we're going to do. But I think if we came out of here saying, we'll work sincerely, candidly, we're going to have our, and of course, I've discussed with the mayor too. There's the TV camera, there's the newspaper reporters, and I told them probably what we need to do is just put a joint meeting together and make this sausage in public like we have to do, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and have our conversations, and because that's the only way we can operate, not just across the bodies, not just with the city, but in our own system. That's how it's set up. So everybody understands that.
Well, I was concerned as I watched the last city commission meeting because there was some active pontification that we might, as a fiscal court, might not feel obligated to do 911 as a community at a community level unless the city agreed to join us as a sports field partner. And I want to say, and I think what I'm hearing from all four of us is nothing could be further from the truth. One of the issues when I asked for this job, one of the four issues I said I thought was important to me because I had listened to the counsel of City Commissioner Alan Rhodes, is that we need a community 911 service organization similar to that envisioned by KRS 65.760, which is not a city 911, not a county 911, but a community 911. And I agree with Commissioner Bartleman that when we build that new structure, we should build it in a way that might be more regional than just Paducah and McCracken County, because the more users we can include in a 911 service, then the lower the fee. We can spread out the cost. So I certainly want the county to be a founder and partner in this new type of entity. The reality is the present funding, as Commissioner Bartleman went through, and I won't go through it again, is inadequate to pay for 911 funding. And so both organizations, both entities, both the city and county, are asking those who pay real estate tax to make up the difference. And that's not fair, because obviously all of us, not just those who own real estate, need and require 911. I think this could not be more timely of a conversation, because certainly in this past week we have seen the need for a very good 911 service. However, this issue, it's not tied to sports fields. It's never been tied to sports fields. But both are big projects and both need our attention at the same time, and that's what the tie is. We are presently not an owner of the 911 system, but rather we are a customer of the 911 system. On April 20th of this year, Judge Thomas Russell rendered an opinion, a preliminary ruling, on the Marshall County effort to fund 911 with a user fee on electric meters. Now, if you've been scratching your head, and some of you have, some of you maybe not, if you've been scratching your head trying to figure out why did these two issues become so combined, I'm going to submit to you that April 20th day, when you look back at the conversations before and the conversations after, that's what put these two issues together. That that's going to be, and that is an important decision. However, it's not a final decision. It's a phase one of two phases decision. There's still an appeal part to that decision, and there's still 2022 when the Kentucky legislature will get together and tinker with whatever they like or don't like about that decision. So it would be, I believe, irresponsible to just go on that preliminary decision and plan or build something on such a decision. It's enlightening, it's illuminating. It may show a path forward that is more fair and better for our 911 service. It may not. But it's certainly not worthy of borrowing money against, because it may change. It's not solid enough, it's not concrete of a decision to do that. I don't fault the city for bringing this issue to the table now. That's probably good negotiation. But let me just say this about both projects. One of them's in the third quarter, and that's the sports fields, and one of them's in the first quarter. and it's hard to combine the two. So I favor both. And I pledge to meet or not meet. I prefer meeting. And I believe part of the problem I heard from the last city commission is that city commissioners and county commissioners are probably not talking as much as they used to. And we're adjusting to new styles of leadership with the change. But it was concerning to me that they had those type of concerns and that we were not in a position to dissuade them from those concerns. So as 1/4 of this fiscal court, I pledge to be very supportive of 911. I understand also that there is a need for, they probably, I listened to the argument, and we were March 19, 2019, we heard the estimates and what needed to be replaced, and at that time, my notes reflect that the engineer said we need to spend $13 million to improve 911. Well, and as I heard commissioners last week say that they have upgrades they need to make now. As I said, we're not an owner, we're a customer, but there is a way for a customer, particularly a big customer, 37% as you said, although I question as you were saying that, everyone in the city is also in the county, so certainly the county services use 37%, but certainly all of those calls are to all county residents. We may need to look at how we can help the owner of that PSAP pay for the debt service associated with any immediate upgrade that is necessary. So I'm willing to make all those pledges, and I think I've heard all 4 of you make the same.
I agree, and the point of my comments was not to indicate there's not some agreement that we need to be partners with the city, because I think we do need to be partners with the city, but before the level of the expenditure is decided, we need to know how it's going to work and what they need and all. So I think we're all committed to being partners with the city on 911, and again, the question is whether we're a part owner of it or whether we're a customer of it, and that helps influence the decision. I also agree with Commissioner Jones that these two issues are unrelated, and I understand the city's point of view to try to make them quid pro quo, which is a famous comment that's come out, but I think we need to move on with the sports complex and then continue our discussions in a very open way and have some joint meetings on 911. I'd like to, when we're done with this, I'd like to make some more comments about the sports complex.
Okay.
You ready for that?
All right.
Do we have a figure on the upgrades they need to make? I mean, have they given you a figure? Or?
We're getting that refreshed by Federal Engineering. The 2017 study should be ready somewhere around August. But that'll just give us some more information. But there's just so many unknowns in the state. I've not gotten into as much research as I want to, and I'm sure you all haven't either. But it's all developing, and the state is developing this statewide system where there's an option where we could join with them. They put the brains or the guts into the system, and then we would manage it locally. That's a possibility, but all that stuff is, gosh, I got to think it's easily a year out, probably 2 years out, and like you called it, 911's in the first quarter. I'm not sure that even the game's started, but certainly the sports tourism and the sports complex, and that thing is rolling, and it's time to be making decisions on that, and we got to know if we've got a partner on it or not. And I think got to get that thing rolled out. And I really believe, I feel confident that the city sees us individually as reputable people, and we stand by our word. And if we say we believe just like you do, we're doing this for the good of the community, we're going to use every ounce of our strength to try to do what's best. And that should align on 90%. They're going to focus on the in-city county residents, and we're focusing on in and out of city county residents. But our goals and our desires, and we all understand that 911 and emergency services is our number one priority. That's before we do anything. We got to take care of that. But it's just we don't have the information, and it's just well, I guess just repeat myself on that. What did you want to say?
I'm going to comment, if I could, on the sports complex, if we could move on to that. And I may get in trouble for what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think the Sports Tourist Commission has done an excellent job in the work they've done. I think the conceptual plan is unbelievably good and excellent. I think it's a top-notch recommendation of what needs to be done there. I think we need to take a close look at it at some point to see if we can reduce the cost of it without reducing the quality of it. And I'm hoping we can get it down to maybe somewhere around $35 million. But again, I don't want to reduce the cost of it and make it not the type of facility that we want. But I think we just need, and I'm sure that's going to happen as we get into more detailed planning of it. I think that the city, is willing to go into a cost-sharing plan. One thing we haven't discussed is how we are going to do the cost-sharing plan. And I'd like to propose how we might do the cost-sharing plan as a starting point. Again, this is not a firm decision, and the fiscal court is not making a decision on it, but I'm going to throw something out there as a starting point, because one of the big questions is how's it going to be funded and who's going to come up with how much money. Again, this is just a starting point. It's not a decision by the fiscal court, but maybe something we could begin discussions with the city. And I would propose that we each in the beginning put up a cash of $12.5 million for the project for a total of $25 million. The county can afford to do that because of the stimulus funds that we're getting. There's very limited use that those funds can be used for. We can't use it to pay salaries. We can't use it to buy vehicles. We can't use it to fix roads. It's very limited in what we can use it for. So I think the county can afford to put $12.5 million cash in the beginning. And hopefully the city can come up with 12.5. They've got some pots over there they can get money from. I think they're getting about $6 million in their stimulus funds. Plus they've got almost $20 million in the bond issue. So we begin by each putting up $12.5 million cash for a total of $25 million. Then we come up with an interlocal agreement that we use a certain percentage of the funds from the transient room tax to pay off a bond issue of somewhere between $10 and $15 million. The first obligation to pay those bonds would come from a certain percentage of the transient room tax that would be dedicated for that purpose. The second source of funding would be profits from the operation of the complex. And again, if the numbers are accurate, and we believe the numbers in this study that was done, within 5 years, it would be making a profit, and we could put that money in there. And then the other source would be that after we get those two sources, any money left over that needs to be paid off bonds would be the city and the county would equally split those bonds. The bond rates right now are somewhere around 2%, maybe a little bit over 2%, which is really a good bond rate for a long-term 20-year bond issue. A 30-year bond issue might be a little bit more, but somewhere around 2%, maybe to 2.25% on a bond issue. We could structure that in a way that for the first 4 or 5 years, that we only pay the interest on the bonds and not the principal, and that would allow to build up some money from the transient room tax plus the operation of the facility. So I propose that as a starting point because, again, we have not discussed any ideas on how to fund the project. And as I said, I'll repeat myself, but we could not afford it without the stimulus funds. We wouldn't have the cash to be able to do that. The county's already invested money in that project, in addition to the donation of the racetrack. We spent money to buy additional land and do some other work out there. So I just think that's a starting point to begin the discussions. I think we ought to resolve and begin the sports complex before we are able to resolve the 911 issue. If we can resolve the 911 issue and come to an agreement quicker, that's fine, but we should let that sit idle, as the judge said, and lose the revenue from that and the economic benefit from that while we quibble over 911.
Well, and I mean, this discussion really is about can we show the city that we're going to work with them both these projects. We've tossed around those kind of ideas, and I saw what you suggested that, and we've talked about that sort of thing and putting either the 12.5 or the majority of our stimulus money in there. And I think at one time the city proposed a number similar to that as well, but all those things can certainly be hammered out.
Well, I just want to make sure that we're clear, and that I mean, there may be upgrades that need to happen to presently the city's 911 system that we rely upon that can't wait, either for the sports fields to be done, or a sports fields agreement, or for our 911 funding plan to come together. And I recognize that, and I assume the rest of you recognize that. And if that is true, as an entity that is wholly relying upon the city to provide 911 services, I think we need to be prepared to step up and say, all right, how can we adjust our customer rates so that you as the owner can afford to make your upgrades? Because we do want the 911 system to be maintained at a high level. And obviously, if we're pushing toward the ultimate goal of a community 911, I don't want them as an owner in a position of making a decision of, well, we're gonna go with this cheaper product because we don't have the funding, because ultimately that's equipment that is going to be in the community 911. So I wanted to buy good stuff, so that when we have a community entity, the community entity has good stuff, and we don't look back and say, God, I wish we'd bought something better.
Okay. Well, so I don't know if there's any need to summarize it. I mean, we've all made our positions known. I think that we want to work forward with the city on these things, and they can watch listen to what we've said. I think they'll believe that we're being truthful.
Sounds like we need to be locked in a room with the city folks till we all come out with a handshake and move forward then on both issues.
Yeah. Well, so I propose to the mayor that we put together a joint meeting, and we'll try to get that done in the next week or so.
Can I make a suggestion? Don't tie it with their meeting or our meeting. Let's have a meeting on these two things here.
Yeah.
And because when we have them with joint meetings and it's their meeting or our meeting, we've got 10 minutes and that's it.
Yeah, just on this.
Let's get it done.
Just on this.
We're kicking it around. Let's get it done.
Okay. Well.
Do we need to do that before we get the study on the actual cost of upgrades? We probably do.
Well, I don't want to let, I think we got some momentum right now.
Right.
I'd like to meet with them and us talk and share that we're on board with this thing, and we can, I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of decisions that can be made, but I think we can benefit from spending an hour with the city folks. And
I'd like to suggest, at least consider the idea of the 9 of us forming a 911 committee and forming a sports fields committee, so that the communication between the commissioners and our two entities is at a higher level than it was 2 weeks ago.
well, we can talk about that too. We'll probably put together just a meeting then with the city. If they're I think they're willing to do that for sometime in the next week or so.
And again, it should be a meeting that we're not constrained by time, that we have to be finished by a certain time so that we can continue our meeting or they continue theirs, or maybe
Well, I'm talking about a meeting with the city on 911
Right.
Sports Complex.
Right.
Just the combined thing.
Right.
And see if are they good with joining with us on the sports complex. We need to, I don't know what more we can do as far as expressing our interest in trying to be partners with them on this thing. But if we've not accomplished that, we need to know.
Yeah.
Because we need to pull the plug on that thing out there. So,
Somebody wants to address us,
sir?
Yes, sir. My name's Gerald Walling. I appreciate it. I've been talking.
Well,
The third.
what do you want to talk about, sir?
Just what you're talking about. The complex, the 911, I know very little about, but I got some ideas. And what I'd like to do is at this meeting you're talking about, have a taxpayer represented there. And the reason I say that, I'm retired. I'm on a set income. And in the last 5 years, 2 years I did not get a raise. 3 years me and my wife got 1%. And what I'm telling you is, we are so far behind with the taxes on cars, trucks, boats, houses, and with the ex-governor taxing the labor thing, cutting grass, dog grooming, the churches. But and then plus the virus, prices are going up. And between me and the wife, I'm gonna say we're somewhere close to $1,000 in the hole compared to what money we've been getting as a raise. It's not much, but I understand you're talking that, I'm gonna say big money. And taxpayers are the one that's paying it.
Right.
And I'd like to give one of you gentlemen to go over some of them. I know there's no sense wasting all of these people's time. Some of these things may not be worth the time.
Okay.
But I think some of them pretty got good reasons. And
How about this? How about if we set up something, you can come in my office sometime. I'm going to be gone, tied up for a couple of days, but like next week, next week.
I'm going to be going too. The wife and I are celebrating 60 years.
All right, well, good for you.
Now,
We can be fine.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to address that quickly, just because it's part of this. It will be forever part of this discussion now, and I don't want us to ignore it. There are three things that happened that have put us in a position where we can consider the Sportsplex project, and I think having the three of them line up in the last 3 years is nothing short of a miracle. And the first is we found a source of income that very few people from McCracken County pay, and that's a hotel transient room tax. It's people that are traveling through, and because we have 2,000 hotel rooms, they pay. And so far we have collected $1.3 million from that, and I think I checked the other day, there's still about almost $900,000 in the account that's collected. Number two, to the effort largely of Judge Clymer, when Bluegrass Downs closed, he charmed them and recruited them and just kept after them, and they said, we're going to give you the perfect 60 acres in your community to build this sports park on, free of charge. And third, none of us expected an American Recovery Act that would give this county $12.8 million with 4 short paragraphs that we could spend that money on. And we're still studying, and there's still further guidance coming out on those 4 short paragraphs. But one of those paragraphs says you can spend this money on your tourism industry. So putting those three things together has put us in a position where we can have this conversation and have this conversation without feeling like we're getting into your pocket. So thank you for letting me take time to address that.
If you'll call my office, you'll get this lady Vicky here, and she'll set something. Oh, okay. She'll set something up, and we'll sit down and talk through it. But this is our business meeting where we just trying to work through a lot of stuff, and so we can't take time to go into the individual things right now. But I'll do that with you one-on-one if you're willing to do that.
Ask one thing.
Okay.
One thing.
Okay.
How much money for properties out there that's not owned? Nobody's paying taxes because it either belongs to the, maybe wrong, county, city, state. Not got taxes,
How much
Property
land is there?
owned by the county, the city,
Oh.
the state.
Oh, I don't know. But if there were taxes being paid on it, you'd be paying it. So if there were taxes had to be paid on it, then we'd have to get that money from the taxpayer to pay it. So the more there is that's not taxed, the better off you are. Get what I'm saying?
Not really. You lost me.
Well, I guess your point is that we need to tax county, state, and city property, maybe?
No, but what I'm saying is,
Oh,
the information age part,
no.
right, who owns that, the city or the county?
Well, various entities own it, but I don't know where we're headed with this.
I'm just saying, that I don't think there's any tax coming in off the property that has not been constructed on. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we're trying to get construction on it. We're trying to sell off that property to get tax money.
I understand that, but it's, what have they owned it for 20-some years out there now, 30?
Yeah, well, I mean,
I don't
we're
know.
trying.
Okay, but I'll call.
Okay.
I'll call your office.
All right.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got John Hodges in here with us now. John, I bet that's the last time you come in tardy, isn't it? we've been, I called your name and you weren't here.
Well, you know, that is the first time that's ever happened to me.
I said Hodges?
And,
Hodges?
It's a combination of getting caught on the job and my own stupidity. I don't really know what else to tell you, but I am sorry about that. And I appreciate that you allowed me to come in even when I am late. Once again, I do apologize for that.
That's all right.
It's terrible that I do that. But it's been a while since I've actually been in front of you guys, and I wanted to update you on just a few things. I know that you have been talking about a lot of important issues here, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. But we are working right now on 3 large projects. 2 of them are in the county that we're finishing up, and one we're just now getting started on the city. Around Lone Oak, if you're off of Clinton Road and whatnot, you may have noticed that we've done some sewer work out there. We did a project that we call MassAC Phase 3. It was many years ago now, about 7 or 8 years ago, we built an interceptor in the western part of the county called the MassAC Creek Interceptor. It went from Pew's Midway and it goes all the way up to CCA. And we've added on to that with this project, and we're working on diverting the flows, balancing the flows in the western part of the county. There's 3 major drainage basins for sanitary sewer in the county and the city. One's along Crooked Creek, one's along Perkins Creek, one's kind of along your MassAC Creek area. So Perkins Creek area is obviously heavily developed. Quite honestly, the mains are probably smaller than they should have been when they built them. And by doing this project, it's $2.7 million or $2.6 million. It was 2,700 feet of sewer. 9,000 feet of gravity sewer, 2,700 feet of force main. We were able to eliminate 4 pump station neighborhoods out there, refurbish the pump station, increase the wet weather capacity. What all sanitary sewers across the state and the country have problems with are when it rains, because you've got a pipe in the ground that wants to take in all that water. And so we are finishing that project. That's going to balance some of our flows out there. Another part of that is that
Steve, excuse me a minute. Would you see what they're leaving? Would you see what are they with Jackson Purchase?
I think they were with Jackson Purchase.
One of you see what they're wanting?
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
The next job is if you drive down Pecan Drive, you can see we built this big green tank. That's what we call a wet weather storage tank. That was $4.1 million. It's a 3 million gallon tank. That what happens is, and that's along the Perkins Creek and the Crooked Creek Interceptor. It's kind of a junction there. And when we have wet weather issues there, we want to capture any water that may want to come out of the manholes, put it in that tank. We pump in to the tank, and then we gravity out after the rain event. So really a lot of these tanks that we build are they're empty tanks on a day like today, and you get these heavy rain events, and then you put all that water in there, and then you're able to process it on a dry day, which is usually just, the next day. All of that is based on our agreed orders that we have with the state for both our separate sanitary system and our combined sewer system. Of course, our combined sewer system there's a portion of the city system that has stormwater in it. That's not an uncommon thing, unfortunately, across the country. We're one of those towns. We built the big 20 million gallon tank over there by our office a few years ago, and now we're working, and we've just started digging ground on a $7.2 million first phase of a pumping station to treat wet weather flows related to combined sewer rain events. So now we've got that under contract. That's where I was caught when I was trying to run here, and I would have texted Steve Doolittle, but texting and driving is highly illegal, and this would, of course, been the day that I would have had a wreck, trying to text Steve Doolittle. So that's a $7.2 million project that we've all got under contract. That's about $14 million. We're looking at another $14 million on our large projects. This is not our regular capital that we do all the time. These are just large projects, either related to agreed orders or things that we need to do. We have $7 to $8 million coming on the next phase of that diversion pump station that I'm talking about over at our plant. That has to be done by 2023. That's a discharge through the flood wall. Then we need to rebuild our sludge capabilities, which is the back end of a treatment plant. You put your good water out, and then you have to deal with all the solids that you capture. Current solids handling at the Paducah plant's 30 to 35 years old. You can only put lipstick on a pig so much, and we've run out of lipstick, so we're having to attack that. That's about a $4 million job. And then, of course, we continue to work in Farley. Farley is a pretty flat area. I think you know that in the winter, the groundwater is about this deep underneath the ground there in Farley. So you have heavy infiltration and inflow in the system out there in Woodlawn. We process all that flow, but the treatment facilities in Woodlawn are not rated for that. And so we're going to be looking at about $3 million there with the state. I think we're behind with them on that because of COVID, to be honest with you. I don't know if you knew this or not, but I think a lot of the Division of Water folks went to work for the unemployment system when they had the unemployment thing. So I didn't hear from a lot of these folks forever. I think they were processing claims, believe it or not. So obviously that's another $14 million that we've got to do. Of course, from a rate standpoint, we're in pretty good shape. Currently, our rates are probably 70% of the state average. We are going to do an adjustment on our rates beginning July 1. It's just a CPIU adjustment. We didn't do one of those last year. Our board voted to not do that. Our rates are not, we have about 19,000 customers, and around a third of those customers are what you call minimum users. So a CPIU adjustment on your sanitary sewers is not really very impactful. Like an electric, the volume is much lower. So the impact to about a third of our customers is going to be less than $1. And then the impact to an average family is going to be right around $1. So our rate will go from $5.94 per thousand to $6.18. Flat rate goes from $29.70 to $30.90. And then we also, believe it or not, surcharge for heavy wastewater load. That's required by law. Most of your industries that we surcharge want to be surcharged because they'd rather pay the surcharge than to get a fine and then have to pay themselves, figure out a way to treat the waste down to the level that's required by law for us to receive. So the surcharges will change. Basically, they'll go up a penny for BOD. They'll go up a penny per pound for TSS, from 24 cents to 25 cents. 2 cents, it will go up from 59 cents to 61 cents per pound for ammonia. Oil and grease goes up a penny from 35 cents to 36 cents. And then we do allow waste haulers to bring waste to the plant when they haul out somebody's septic tank or grease or whatever. That charge will go up $1 from $44 per thousand to $45 per thousand. And of course, what we do, I try to follow the Special Governmental Entity Act, where you come in and you do testimony based on all this stuff. All of these things were approved by you and the city in a joint meeting when we did rate adjustment, but I just like to be conservative about it. Came to the city last week. I wanted to come here and do that and also give you guys just a short update on what we're doing. So we do have quite a few capital considerations to do. We will see, I think, a bit of the stimulus money. You guys talk about the $12 million for the county. Looks like McCracken County in KIA, the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority, looks like they're going to have our county allotment to be about $2.4 million. And the 2.4 would be shared between us, Paducah Water, and then West McCracken, depending on what they want to submit. And I actually think, I'm unsure how all that's going to get divvied out, but Judge, I'm not so sure that you may be involved and the county office may be involved in some of that decision-making process on ranking and all that. Of course, we're going to work good with Paducah Water. I mean, we're going to do what we need to do with that. But that's what I had. I didn't know if you guys had any questions or anything for me. And I am sorry I was late. I'm at work.
That's all right.
I'm not happy about that.
Any questions, you guys?
I want to comment on, I'm on the sewer board, and I want to comment compliment on the job they do in the sewer districts. I was on the original board when the JSA was formed, and there were a lot of challenges on the list when the joint agency began merging a couple of sewer districts, and they do an excellent job over there. All the workers are well dedicated. John does a good job. There's a lot of accountability to the board and everything he does, and as you can tell, he's an expert on it. We're just lucky he didn't have a blackboard here
I don't know how much of an expert. One thing you have, something's going to change and something's going to screw you in the sanitary sewer business. Something always comes up, and you just got to be flexible and prepared for it.
Well, you do a good job.
The best that you can. And I do appreciate the county's been great. The judge has been great, and Steve Doolittle's been great to work with, and I'm very thankful for your support for what we do.
John, we're lucky to have you. Thank you.
Yeah. Never hear any complaints on the sewer.
Don't ever say that. You will jinx me. Every time we think we've got it going good, that's when it comes. So.
Other than you being late a lot.
I know. Yes, sir.
I've got to complain every time my yard gets nice grass.
I've actually dug up Bartleman's yard twice doing repairs.
Every time it gets nice grass in me, you come and pick it up.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Got a head of grass in there. I expect you to be there next
We
week.
repaired his service, and then sure enough, his neighbor's service was in his yard. Anyway, thank you.
All right, thank you. So I was a minute late, and you chastised me, telling me I need to get the clock. He's 6 minutes late, and you shower him with accolades.
Judge, you just do an excellent job. We're glad to have you.
Let's see, where are we here? Unity Tower. So the United We Stand, or Unity Tower, is might have got finished today. It'll be finished by tomorrow. We'll go out there at 9:30 in the morning and pay the man, assuming we get that authorized. I assume we're going to pay him. And so we've talked about that several times. We've got a tentative date for a recognition or celebration of that, of 29th. Is that right, Vicki? Yes. Tuesday the 29th, probably at noon. we're working on the location, trying to find something out there close by, but if not, we'll do it here. But the TV station and newspaper have been great about giving us some coverage on that. They're working on getting us some more coverage. I think it's going to be a strong project. People coming up and down the interstate there and seeing that, and maybe they'll want to wander on in and see what we're about here, and understand the message we're putting out of being unified in a time when we need to be. So. All right, let's see, where are we here? Court orders. Madam Clerk, you're up.
It is ordered that bid openings were held at 10 a.m. on June 2nd, 2021 at the McCracken County Courthouse for bituminous asphalt paving for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. One bid was received, that being from Jim Smith Contracting, and was taken under advisement.
So made.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that the bid for bituminous asphalt paving for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 be awarded to Jim Smith Contracting.
So made.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that bid openings were held at 10 a.m. on June 2nd, 2021 at the McCracken County Courthouse for stone for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. Bids were received from Vulcan Materials and Wind Materials and were taken under advisement.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that the bid for stone for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 be awarded to Vulcan Materials, which was the lowest bid.
So made.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that bid openings were held at 10 a.m. on June 2nd, 2021 at the McCracken County Courthouse for delivered fuel for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. One bid was received, that being from JSC Terminal, LLC, DBA Midwest Terminal, and was taken under advisement.
So made.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that the bid for delivered fuel for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 be awarded to JSA Terminal, LLC, DBA Midwest Terminal.
So made.
Second.
Second.
JSC. I think you said JSA. JSC.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that the treasurer is authorized to pay Eric Hen the balance of his invoice for the painting of the water tower mural in the amount of $12,550. This will be paid from the water tower account.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that the judge executive is authorized to sign the service agreement with GPEDC to pay the amount of $250,000 to GPEDC for fiscal year 2021-2022.
I move we pass over this item until the director can be here next meeting.
I second that motion.
All right. All in favor of passing to next week, or next 28th? Is that what it'd be?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 28th. All in favor of doing that? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Okay.
It is ordered to approve the May transient room tax in the amount of $314,379.80 to be dispersed as follows. Paducah CVB, $92,554.94. Convention Center, $62,681.37. Sports Tourism Commission, $95,493.27. Escrow Fund, $63,660.22.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries. Let me add, we'll go back to that water tower thing. Not that it'll probably do any good, but just point out that that was all donated money for that water tower. Then we can start reading tomorrow in the social media about how the county spent $12,000 in tax money, but that would be wrong.
That's right. It's all private.
That's right. Okay, go ahead.
It is ordered that the treasurer is authorized to pay Mid-South Tank Consultants the amount of $12,300 for preparation of the water tower for the United We Stand mural.
So made.
Second.
So same thing there, donated money, no tax money for that. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that the treasurer is authorized to pay Steve Irvin the amount of $655.84 to reimburse him for personal funds expended at Lowe's for materials required for the water tower.
So made.
Second.
So y'all know what that's about?
No.
So the lift sunk out there, is that right?
Yeah, the lift, it weighs about 22 tons. It's about 5,000 pounds. So as soon as we got off the ground into the grass, it sunk 12 to 6 inches immediately. So it was just basically stuck. Of course, Eric was on site. We needed to get some type of boards down so we could roll it. So we would not have to apply with those 3/4 inch.
Plywood a little pricey.
Glad you were on the spot. glad you had a credit card.
Yeah. Plywood.
So we got $100 worth of lumber for $655.
Yeah, 3/4 inch plywood, 8 sheets was $650 or something like that.
Unfortunately, that was the cheaper of the plywood.
Can't believe that. Okay, well, appreciate you getting on top of that and getting that done. All right, let's see, did we?
You've
we didn't
not
vote on
voted
that.
yet.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Ted Smith is reappointed to the Board of Adjustment to serve a 4-year term beginning July 1, 2021 and expiring on June 30th, 2025, subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Riff Turner is reappointed to the Extension Board to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2021 and expiring on June 30th, 2024, subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Bill Bartleman is reappointed to the Purchase Area Development District Board of Directors Committee to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2021 and expiring on June 30th, 2024, subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Diane Bach is reappointed to the Purchase Area Development District Aging Committee to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2021 and expiring on June 30th, 2024, subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Danny Brown is reappointed to the Purchase Area Development District Food Bank Committee to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2021 and expiring on June 30th, 2024, subject to further order of the court.
So move. Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Cal Ross is reappointed to the Purchase Area Development District Housing Corporation Committee to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2021 and expiring on June 30th, 2024, subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Randy Williams is reappointed to the Purchase Area Development District Transportation Committee to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2021, and expiring on June 30th, 2024, subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Tim Cahill is reappointed to the Purchase Area Development District Transportation Committee to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2021, and expiring on June 30th, 2024, subject to further order of the court. Mr. Cahill is a joint appointment with the city.
So made.
Second.
Discussion. You guys met him? Met Tim Cahill? And he's strong, I think. He's doing a great job at the Riverport. Let's see, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Robert Hernandez is appointed to the Senior Citizens Board to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2021, and expiring on June 30th, 2024, subject to further order of the court.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that David Troutman is reappointed to the Senior Citizens Board to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2021, and expiring on June 30th, 2024, subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Randall Bogus is reappointed to the Hendron Fire Board to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2021, and expiring on June 30th, 2024, subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Bob Fessmeyer is reappointed to the Lone Oak Fire Board to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2021, and expiring on June 30th, 2024, subject to further order of the court.
So made.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that David Humphrey is reappointed to the Reedland Farley Fire Board to serve a 3-year term beginning July 1, 2021, and expiring on June 30th, 2024, subject to further order of the court.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Jeff Parker is reappointed to the Government Affairs Task Force, a GPEDC committee, to serve a term beginning July 1, 2021, and which will expire on June 30th, 2022, subject to further orders of the court.
So moved.
So move.
All right, I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries.
It is ordered that Eddie Jones is reappointed to the Government Affairs Task Force, a GPEDC committee, to serve a term beginning July 1, 2021, and which will expire on June 30th, 2022, subject to further orders of the court.
So made.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, aye. Opposed, no. That carries. All right, resolutions.
It is hereby ordered that resolution number R 2021-19, authorizing, approving, and supporting the submission of an application for a Community Development Block Grant, CV funds, to be used for utilities assistance with West Kentucky Allied Services, CAP agency in McCracken County, and authorizing the judge executive to execute all documents necessary to complete said application is hereby adopted.
So move.
Second.
So, will this be our block grant, or is there,
I'm sorry?
well, there's just so many community block grants you can have going on at a time, right?
This is a community development block grant.
All right, and is this the one we picked, and can we have any others, or is it?
April, would you like to come up? April's with the Purchase Area Development District. They are going to be administering the grant. I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer that question.
Yes, this isn't going to be the only grant you can do. This is an extension of a grant, so you can still do other community development block grants along with this one.
How much is this grant?
This grant is going to be for up to $200,000 per utility service. So the original amount is going to be up to that $200,000, and then you can reapply if you still need more benefits
Thank you.
I think this grant should go pretty quick too. It won't take long to spend the money for the assistance, so it won't have it tied up. Shouldn't have it tied up too long with a block grant, so we can get another one if we need it soon.
All right. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries. Ordinances.
It is ordered that pursuant to KRS Chapter 67, the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2021-5 shall be conducted in summary format as follows. McCracken County, Kentucky, McCracken County Fiscal Court, ordinance number 2021-05. An ordinance setting and establishing the proposed fiscal year 2021-2022 operating budget for the funding of all McCracken County governmental operations prepared in strict compliance with the mandates of Kentucky Revised Statutes, Chapter 68. The action taken by the present ordinance is required by Kentucky Revised Statutes, Chapter 68, and is carried out in strict compliance with the same. After detailed investigation by the McCracken County Fiscal Court into each separate activity of the county and necessary funding requirements for the provision of the same, a proposed county budget is now prepared and submitted for approval of the Fiscal Court with expenditure allocated to budget units as classified below. General Fund, General Government, $4,861,483. Protection of Persons and Property, $1,192,045. General Health and Sanitation, $463,863. Social Services, $50,000. Recreation and Culture, $852,832. Airports, $123,983. Bus Services, $11,000. General Services, $1,138,910. Contingent Appropriations, $500,000. Fringe Benefits, Employer Share, $2,151,459. Total, $11,345,575. Road Fund. Roads, $3,287,863. Capital Projects, $412,423. General Services, $5,000. Fringe Benefits, Employer Share, $735,541. Total, $4,440,827. Jail Fund, Protection to Persons and Property, $5,405,965. General Services, $14,000. Fringe Benefits, Employer Share, $2,514,676. Total, $7,934,641. Local Government Economic Assistance Fund, Social Services, $200,000, with a total of $200,000. State Grants Funds, Social Services, $28,075, total $28,075. Federal Grants Funds, Social Services, $90,184, for a total of $90,184. Sheriff Fund, General Government, $3,790,818. General Services, $9,000. Fringe Benefits, Employer Share, $2,251,374. Total, $6,051,192. Economic Assistance Fund, General Government, $570,000. Contingent Appropriations, $10,000, for a total of $580,000. Juvenile Justice Fund, Protection to Persons and Property, $35,000. Contingent Appropriations, $10,000, total $45,000. Transient Room Tax Distribution, Recreation and Culture, $1,920,737. Contingent Appropriations, $402,276, for a total of $2,323,013. American Recovery Plan Act, Social Services, $6,353,340, total $6,353,340. Debt Service Fund, Bonds, Courthouse, $245,981. tax anticipation notes, $5,390. Other county liabilities, $2,089,462. General services, $1,100. Contingent appropriations, $500,000. Total, $2,841,933. Grand total of all funds, $42,233,780. Certification. It is hereby certified by the McCracken County Fiscal Court that the present summary represents an accurate official statement of the main points of and contents of ordinance number 2021-5. Ordinance number 2021-5 shall be available for public inspection in its whole and complete form in the McCracken County Judge Executive's office during ordinary business hours.
So made.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
Before she reads number B, I'd like to make a motion we pass over B. There's some questions about that we want to study before we even get that in the first reading.
Oh, I wasn't aware.
I second that, yeah.
Okay, we got time, we're not up against the deadline or anything? Okay. So the motion is to continue it, what do you need, like 2 weeks or?
Well, we can bring up next meeting, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be ready next meeting, yeah.
Well, is there a time, so that we,
2 weeks on that.
but when you guys pass something, if we don't act, does it become,
No,
okay,
not on text amendments.
okay.
Okay, so the motion is to continue it for 2 weeks. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, continue it.
You ready for C?
Yes.
It is hereby ordered that pursuant to KRS Chapter 67, the first reading of ordinance number 2021-7 shall be conducted in summary format as follows. Commonwealth of Kentucky, McCracken County Fiscal Court, ordinance number 2021-07. An ordinance amending the McCracken zoning code. It's set forth in McCracken County Ordinance number 2017-7 as amended by repealing existing procedural provisions related to amendments and development plans in their entirety and enacting replacement procedural provisions relating to the same. The action effectuated in the present ordinance is authorized by Kentucky Revised Statutes, Chapter 100, and all actions in relation to its enactment were taken in strict compliance with KRS Chapter 100 and all McCracken County local regulations enacted pursuant to the same. This ordinance operates to amend the McCracken County zoning ordinance regulations by repealing in its entirety the previously existing provisions of Section 150.109 related to the procedures required for making amendments to documents and instruments connected with various local zoning matters and the specific requirements related to development plans to facilitate administrative economy and strict compliance with Kentucky statutory law. It is hereby certified by the McCracken County Fiscal Court that the present summary represents an accurate official statement of the main points of and contents of ordinance number 2021-7. A true and correct copy of ordinance number 2021-7 shall be made available for public inspection in its whole and complete form by the office of the McCracken County Judge Executive during ordinary business hours.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion?
So, planning and zoning have given this a thumbs up, unanimously approved it.
Anything else?
No.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
Okay. It is hereby ordered that pursuant to KRS Chapter 67, the first reading of ordinance number 2021-8 shall be conducted in summary format as follows. McCracken County, Kentucky, McCracken County Fiscal Court, ordinance number 2021-8. An ordinance amending the McCracken County subdivision regulations as set forth in McCracken County Ordinance number 2017-7 as amended by enacting an amendment to the provisions related to subdivided lots and their relationship to streets. The action effectuated in the present ordinance is authorized by Kentucky Revised Statutes, Chapter 100, and all actions in relation to its enactment were taken in strict compliance with KRS Chapter 100 and all McCracken County local regulations enacted pursuant to the same. This ordinance operates to amend the McCracken County subdivision regulations by allowing up to 3 lots to share a privately established and maintained way of ingress-egress. It is hereby certified by the McCracken County Fiscal Court that the present summary represents an accurate official statement of the main points of and contents of ordinance number 2021-8. A true and correct copy of ordinance number 2021-8 shall be made available for public inspection in its whole and complete form in the McCracken County Judge Executive's office during ordinary business hours.
So made.
Second.
Any discussion?
Same questions. Planning and zoning wants it.
Actually, this is subdivision regulations, and this is not required to go through the planning commission. The only amendments to the zoning ordinance has to receive planning commission review.
So why is it a good idea? I think it probably is, but we can get this far if it wasn't a good idea.
Okay. The reason we're doing this is this comes up frequently, predominantly out in the most rural areas. You'll have somebody, they'll have a large tract of land, big farm, want to subdivide to put a house out there for their kid, another kid or grandkid or whatever, and we end up having all of these easements stacked side by side by side. All it's doing is eating up good farmland. And if you actually go out there, most of the time, there's only one driveway anyways. And so, and it was making things difficult because you didn't always have the width that you would need, because you had, say you had 3 1-acre tracts, you'd had to have a 30-foot wide easement for each tract. Well,
so this is an improvement because each subdivision is going to have its own road frontage?
Well, and this is just going to be for individual lots, for 3 lots. So if you want this to go to 4 lots, then you've got to go through the road process and create an actual road. So this is going to be more a single driveway that will serve 2 or 3 different houses.
So if I own 3 acres, I can put Eddie and Bill on acre beside me, we all share the same driveway now.
Correct.
But when we go to 4, we can't do that.
You go to 4, then at that point, we're serving enough. You're going to have to meet the county specs and build an actual road.
Then you wouldn't have your yard dug up.
I'm just trying to figure out who's going to be mad about this and when they're going to be mad.
Somebody will.
The person they mad is the one that's going to do forking.
It's going to be the person getting the 4th acre. We've got to draw a line somewhere there.
So when the judge wants to move in, we got to build a road that's a lot wider for 4.
Correct.
Or they just locate somewhere else where they can do their own driveway.
Yes.
We're doing this now because why?
I've been wanting to do this for a while. I come from a family of farmers, and seeing all of these and it's always out on the farm. It eats me up seeing all these easements listed on there. But I know Commissioner Parker had been approached. Somebody who's I'd already met with, and I said, well, we've got to change the ordinance. And I said, if you know any of the commissioners, you may put a bug in their ear. And well, evidently he did within a matter of a day or 2.
And the person, they want to change because why?
He what about 7 acres and he wants.
Yeah, bought 7 acres and he wants to put his son and
his son wants an acre
family next.
He's got a long driveway, so his son can build an acre off that driveway.
But it's already served by an established easement, and there's not enough space for a second easement if they don't. And it's this has come up multiple
so this
times.
does away with the need for each easement and allows them just to share the driveway.
Yeah, correct.
So this is making government more friendly for the end user.
Yeah, believe it or not, yes.
Okay.
And we probably got a lot of people out there doing it that just didn't, they're illegal.
All right, well, I'm for it.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. It carries.
It is hereby ordered that pursuant to KRS Chapter 67, the first reading of ordinance number 2021-9 shall be conducted in summary format as follows. Commonwealth of Kentucky, McCracken County Fiscal Court, ordinance number 2021-9, an ordinance repealing in its entirety McCracken County ordinance number 2016-8, setting forth the previous form of the McCracken County Administrative Code and enacting a replacement administrative code containing all amendments enacted subsequent to the initial passage of McCracken County Ordinance Number 2016-8. The present action is mandated by KRS 67.710 and KRS 68.005 and operates to repeal in its entirety the current McCracken County Administrative Code as previously enacted by Ordinance Number 2016-8 and containing the numerous amendments enacted subsequent to its initial passage. The present action allows the full incorporation of all such subsequent amendments into a single, self-contained code for ease of administration and more effective and efficient notice of and compliance with its provisions. It is hereby certified by the McCracken County Fiscal Court that the present summary represents an accurate official statement of the main points of and contents of ordinance number 2021-9. Ordinance 2021-9 shall be available for public inspection in its whole and complete form in the McCracken County Judge Executive's office during ordinary business hours.
So made.
Second.
Discussion.
Well, we will have opportunity to ask for some changes in this, right?
Yeah, it's first reading. You know.
Okay. First reading.
Yep.
I'll ask my questions in between the first and the second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. That carries.
It is hereby ordered that pursuant to KRS Chapter 67, the first reading of ordinance number 2021-10 shall be conducted in summary format as follows. An ordinance amending McCracken County Ordinance number 2020-8 by making revisions to the proposed fiscal year 2020-2021 operating budget by modification of allocations pertaining to American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, ARPA, funds and contingent appropriations in strict compliance with the mandates of Kentucky Revised Statutes, Chapter 68. The present ordinance makes revisions to Ordinance 2020-8, McCracken County proposed fiscal year 2020-2021 operating budget pertaining to a modification of allocations pertaining to ARPA funds and contingent appropriations. It is hereby certified by the McCracken County Fiscal Court that the present summary represents an accurate official statement of the main points of and contents of ordinance number 2021-10. Ordinance number 2021-10, yes, 10, I'm sorry, that says 9, that should say 10, shall be available for public inspection in its whole and complete form in the McCracken County Judge Executive's office during ordinary business hours.
So made.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carries. Do you have anything in executive session? I don't have anything.
Move we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second.
Second.
All in favor, what?
Who made the motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. We're gone.
Cool.
Good.
Yeah.